This is the desktop. So when you open this desktop, it will be blank like this, right? So we have many components on this desktop, right? So to my far right, we have the filters, which we use to filter the rows and that you want to see. We have the visuals. Like someone asked yesterday to say, do we create the visuals in Excel then import here? No, we import only the raw data. So here we have many visuals that you can use. But over and above, if these visuals are not meeting your visual needs, you can say get more visuals. You can say get more visuals from App Store, from App Source. You can get more visuals from App Source. For example, here I will need a word cloud, which we like this one. Word cloud. Let me load it and get that. So we have the word cloud, which we use to visualize natural language and sentiments. So the moment you do that, the visual will start to appear here, and you get this message which says import successful. So there are many visuals that are in App Source, but if you are working in an organization, you have to make sure that those visuals, some of them are approved, but we have a number of them. Maybe some of them they are by type. What you want to do comparison, it could be correlation, it could be KPIs, it could be maps, right? We have many of them, so you can choose from there, right? So that's visual. Then we have the data pane. You are going to see when we have imported our data, it's going to appear here. Then on the left side, we have these 5 items where I'm hovering over my mouse. So we have the report view, which is where I'm landing. So by default here on the report view, it will show the frequently used data sources. For example, Excel, SQL Server, and sample data. For example, if you click on sample data here, it then loads the sample data. For example, this one is the sample data. So this comes as part of Power BI, but we are going to import ours. Then we have the table view, which will show the tables, then this, then this. But maybe for better explanation, let me start by importing first. Then we have the insertion here, where we can put more visuals, decomposition tree, narratives, paginated reports, Power Automate, Power Apps. And for your own information, Power BI is a member of a family called Power Apps. So on Power Apps, we have Power Platform, we have Power Apps, Power Automate, AI Builder, Power Pages, where you can build a number of. So Power Automate is for robotic process automation. Those who want to create a RPA, you can do, and some apps can use this. Then we have some modeling, optimize performance here. But on the home tab here, there are many options. But what we are going to be doing now that if you check the file that we are using, you can see that it's an Excel worksheet, AdventureWorks. So what I'm going to do is we want to start the importation process. We in our data analytics pipeline, we said at first you need to have the objectives. So you don't just analyze. So our objective is to analyze the AdventureWorks sales data, maybe by the regions, to see how the portfolio is performing, maybe, and find maybe key performance influencers. there. And our objective is to visualize in a logical manner that is understood even by the ordinary user, right? So if you come on the ribbon on the home, there are many options that are there, but we have the get data. So get data, you see that there are common data sources, for example, Excel, Power BI, semantics, data flows, database, SQL Server, analysis service, text, which is your TXT and your CSV. We have the web, and suppose you have a data that you want to analyze that is on web, you can even access it. Then you can click more to see. We have said it connects to about over 190 connectors. So we have many data connectors. There could be ERP systems, databases, fabric, power platforms, online and offline. So there are many connectors that are there, and that's it. So for our sake, we are going to import from Microsoft Excel, right? So we select Microsoft Excel and we say connect. So we are now starting our process, having understood our objective, right? So it does this. Then let's point where our data is, right? This, right? What's happening there? So it seems my data source. Maybe let's start by opening the Excel to see how it's looking like. So this is my data set. So you discover this data is formatted as a table because it's giving us this table. What we want to do, we want to convert this from a table to range. It's taking time. So fairly, you were asking yesterday. So we'll take this data as it is, as raw data from Excel. So maybe, excuse me a bit, I want to remove table formatting in this data set. So if your data is formatted as a table, you can convert to a range. That's what I want to do. So that if you don't do that, you have two copies of your tables and it can confuse you. So if you are opening your Excel file, you can be doing what I'm doing here. We want to convert this from a table to range. Okay, let's go one by one. If you click anywhere inside the table, it shows you this table design. Then you come on convert to range. Shows people, let's convert to range. So you see that there are no visuals, there is no any analysis. from the source. We are going to do everything in Power BI. So this is the structure. So like I said that our data is not going to come as a one sheet. As you can see that we have many tables here. We have the date ranges, budget, budgeting one, customers, locations, etc. Which means this data is related in any way. But what we want to do is we have to build a model to see how is this data related. Then we create some connection between this table. That's what we are going to be doing. For example, here, salespeople, we have a salesperson ID, right? And salesperson name. So if we come to sales, you see that we have salesperson ID, and we need to get the name of this salesperson, and we have the product ID. So if you come to the product, we have the product name. So we need to create a relationship. We talked about cardinality yesterday, and we need to create a relationship between these tables. So a primary key which is in another table. For example, if we find a product ID in a sales table, which means the product ID in the sales is a foreign key. The primary key in the sales table is what? Is the sales ID. Any questions? Hello? Is it clear, guys?
Yes, root weaker.
Perfect. So let me just finish converting this to range. I think you should do the same for yours, that we'll be on the same page. I want just to remove the table formatting on these tables. Just highlight it anywhere within the table, then it will show this table design here. Then you click there, then you say convert to range. Okay, I'm done. So let me save my file. That's fine. It's now done. Let me close and even close this one. Right. So let me come back here. So I say get data. Now that my data is fixed, so I'll click Excel, connect. This. Right. After I do that, I now have only this table. So if you haven't converted to range, you have 2 copies per each table. The other one which is highlighted in blue, and the other one which is not. So the one highlighted in blue you should not select. So these are the tables, right, that are in our data source. Let me open again. As you can see, these are the tables that we have here. And it's the same. It's the same tables that are being shown here. So for the sake of our analysis, I think we are going to be selecting. So what happens is there is that box on this dialog. That's where you select the data that you want. So for us, we are going to be selecting everything in case you have changed your data to range. But if you haven't, just select one copy. So you select, and the moment you click, it gives you a preview. So this is like the preview to show you a high level of how the data looks like. So I select, these are what I need all these tables. So it means you are including these in your analysis. So suppose you at a later stage, and suppose maybe we don't want the locations or budget too, and you skip this, you can still come back and select only this one and what. So we explained ETL and ELT. So ETL is extract, transform, and load. ELT is extract, load, and transform. The extraction is the phase that we did. Extracting from what? From the source. We can do loading without any transformation, which means the data is being taken as it is to our pure Power BI, right? But we want to do extract, load, transform so that we load the data that we want. So we click the transform data. Usually this is encouraged. Transform. So the moment we say transform, we are now invoking the Power Query, right? And the moment you do that, it's processing and it will show a tick if it's completed. And it should now launch the Power Query edit. So the moment you say load, so it's saying 25 days old. Let's just click. So this is now our data. So this animal where we are viewing, it's called Power Query. This is also in Excel. Like I said yesterday, to say you can still do these transformations in Excel, doing your data merging, cleaning, etc. Excel has the same engine. It's a similar engine, right? Let me just refresh. I don't know why it continues to give me these messages. Right, so this is my data, and what's before me is called what? Power Query. So Power Query is the home where there are frequently used operations. Like we said yesterday, we extract, transform. So on transformation, there are many operations that we can do. Like we said, we can promote headers, split columns, generate new columns. For example, you have date of birth. You can create a new column called age from date of birth, which is a derived column. And maybe you have start date and end date for an employee. You can calculate employment duration. And you have total quantity sold and price. You can calculate total price, something like that. So here, if you can check for the sales data, sales 2021, it's from order ID up to price. 2022, it's order ID up to price. 2022, order ID up to price. This is the same data, but different years. It says the same structure, right? So the ideal procedure is to combine this data into one file. So it's another process that we have to do. But before we do that, let's maybe jump in and go to all these other files. Right? I want to start with custom. So to select custom, I just come and click here. So customers is a table, but as you can see, this table does not have column names. Our column names are being regarded as rows. It's saying column 1 and column 2. So we have an operation that we say promotion. And if we come on home, or even on transform, let's stay home on or transform for other versions of Power BI. Here, where it's saying use first row as headers, or use first row as headers, right? We want to use first row as header. Because first row already in a customer ID, in a customer name, which is what we want. So click here, and this is what this is promoted. We now have customer ID and name. But if you now come to the rightmost side of your query pane, right, we have the name, which is the table name, and you can even use it here to rename. So renaming table names is one operation that you can do. So you can say this is customers. You can even say this is clients, something like that, if you want to call it clients, but let's keep it as what is customers. So on the applied steps, it's showing the steps, the data transformation steps that you have done. So it's saying from the source, it gives you here what it did. It navigated to this path and picked this data source. Then it did some navigation. If you click here, this is the navigation that we did. Then there are implicit data conversions that Power BI does. For example, it can detect to say this is a text or this is a number. Then this is the step that we have done. We promoted headers. First row to be what? To be header. So these steps, you can actually delete them. But for this one, source navigation, change the type and change the type. These ones, they've been done by the system and it's not encouraged to remove this. So for this, you can say remove this and remove this. So you will see that our data will revert to that state where it was. So I will redo. So we'll come as use row as first, use first row as headers, and we click here. So any questions, guys? Yeah, I encourage you to ask, because if you don't ask, you may end up in your own work. Fairly, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Sheila,
Yes, I'm following.
that's fine. So these are the steps that are being applied, right? Let's now check. Our table is only 2 columns, so these are the columns. So I'll explain. Maybe let me explain on view before we go anywhere. So on view here, we have column data preview and column qualities. So right, so on the view there, show data distribution in data preview. Let's click here. So it's showing you data distribution here on customer ID. It's saying 109 distinct and 101 distinct and 101 unique. This is typical of a primary key. So customer ID is a primary key. Unique equals to what? Equals to distinct. Then here we come, we have 509 distinct and 280 unique. So which means we may have repetitions here, where maybe customers are sharing the same name, but they now distinguished by what? By the customer ID. So which means this is our unique identifier which we are creating to identify the customer. Then column profile, it shows you some column statistics. And if you would want to write the Power BI exam, they like this question. They can just give you a picture of this entity, ask you to tell them what does that mean, and is to say you want to see the distribution. Where do you click? Then column quality as well, it helps you to detect if there are any errors, if there are any empty, if there are any invalid. As you can see, you have 100% valid, 0 errors, 0 empty, which means our data is fine. So those are some of the statistics that you may need to check. Okay, so we need to have our column names follow the business logic. If you say client name, you need to rename it to what? To client name. You can just double click there and client name. And as you can see, a step has been applied, renamed what? Columns. But for me, I just want to keep it as customer what? Names, which means I can remove the step and it reverts back to what? To customer name. So I think since we have checked most of the attributes of this table, it's now fine. Let's move on to another table. Let's go to table locations. So table locations has many columns than the customers. So maybe we are going to have many learning points here. So one thing that I didn't explain in the previous table is, if you look at the top leftmost side of the column name, for example, on name, it's saying ABC. If you click there, it gives you a prompt of this. These are data types. So when it's saying ABC, it's just telling you that it's a numeric column. It's a numeric column. But here, let's go to latitude. So this is a location by latitude. It's telling you 1.2, which means it's what? It's a decimal number, right? Then longitude, it's a what? It's a decimal number. Let's go and pick other columns. Area code, it's 123. 123 is a fixed decimal number. Population, 123, it's a fixed decimal number. Also, median income, right? So on median income, it's being formatted as what? As a number, but this is actually current. So we can come here and format it to what? To a current. So the moment you do that, it will prompt you, and please don't ignore this this warning. It's saying the selected column is an existing type conversion. Would you like to replace existing conversion, preserve the existing conversion, and add new current conversion as separate step? Usually, you click select add new step, so that a new step is added, change the type 1. So if you would come here, it will then show you which type of step here on this M code. We call this M code. It will show you that you change the currents. And suppose you made an error, you can actually remove this. Don't replace, right? You can as well go to land area. Land area is 123. I don't think there's a problem. Water area, time zone, ABC. That's fine there. So I think our columns are fine. If you need to even change, you should change. If you need to change, so you can say what? Even say if you want this to say this to be location name. If you want this to be location name, you can double click here, or you can actually select the column and right click. Hey, I don't know what's happening with my mouse. It's not working for right clicking. I will have to check what's wrong. So It's not working to right click. But if you can right click, you will see the options, to the many options that you can do, right? So I think we are now fine. Let's go to products. So products, this is a list of product IDs and their prices, etc. So product ID is fine, product name is well named, then cost, it's 123. We need this to be a fixed decimal number, which is a price, and we need to add new step, and it's now original price. We also need to convert it to a $sign. Discount, let's see discount. You see that discount, there's nothing there. Every row is a 0, so this will not be of any business use, right? We need to, which means we need to remove this. But let's finish off converting all these prices, these currencies into what? Into currencies. Right, then the discount, this is not going to be any useful because it doesn't have what? Have anything. So we can come here, say remove columns, remove other, which means if you say remove other, it selects all the columns that you are not, it removes columns that you are not selecting. You can say remove column, right? So to me this table is okay, it's now okay. Let's move on to salespeople, right? Salespeople, right? I want you to, if you are following, I want you to tell me what's wrong with this table. I'll pick. If there are no volunteers, I'll pick. I want you to tell me what's wrong with this table. Chapuz.
And number headers.
Okay, doesn't have headers, right? I think that's correct. So we need to promote the headers. So we come here and say use first row as headers. We promote it, then it's now there, right? And maybe for one reason or the other, maybe the reason that we don't know, you want to split your salesperson name into first name and last name. You can come here and say split columns. Let's go to transform, split column. By delimiter, we want to split by space. It's not quoted. Leftmost, we want to say the leftmost. So we'll say maybe if the person is, the customer has two names, first name and middle name, we just migrate the middle name to be same column with the same name. So leftmost. If you say rightmost, it will take calculate from the right, but we need what? Left. Each occurrence, which means wherever there is a space, it will split. And remember the text split that we did in Excel. So leftmost, I'll do okay. So you see that this table is now have 3 columns. The salesperson name has been splitted into first name and last name. Maybe for one reason you may need to be doing that. And a situation where you need to do that is when you have a date and time. A rule of thumb in Power BI is wherever you are working with date and time column, you have to split into date and time for you to be able to use hierarchy and time intelligence functionalities. So I don't want to split. This was just for demonstration. I will remove these steps. So it takes me back to this. Let's go to budget 2. Everything is okay there except monthly allocation is a percentage there. I need to format it as what? As a percentage. Okay. Then go to budget 1. Budget 1, everything is okay. Budget. This name is what? Is location name, right? Then revenue is a number, but it should be a current. So let's click here and convert to fixed what? To fixed decimal now. So I think you can see that the step that we are doing is very important. And like what we said, like we discussed when we were talking of the what do you call this? The analytics pipeline. We said that 80% of a data analytics work is spent on data cleaning and modeling. 20% is when you are doing your visualizations and your reporting. So you need to get it right. Yeah, your model may fail to work in future. All right. So we are done for all these tables, and you can see that these tables are tables what we call dimensions. As you can see, the few data and the data doesn't change. For example, our product event, it doesn't change always. Our salespeople, of course, they may come and go, but they don't change most often. And we can work with our budget for an entire, it doesn't change most often. But for sales, it changes on a daily basis, right? So we don't want to be working with these as separate sales data, right? We need to append one on top of the other to create one file, which have all the sales for what? For all these years. So we use a function that we call, let me go to home, right? Merge queries. Sorry, we have this question where it's saying combine files. So on combining files, we have two options. You can either append or merge. Appending, we are putting one on top of the other, right? Which means they have the same structure, same what. But on merging, usually when you have a one-to-one relationship, you need to merge your files. But for our case here, we need to append to create one file. Append, usually append is new. Append queries as new. First table, let's select 2020 cells. Right here, concatenate rows from two tables into a single table. But we don't have two, we have three. So we select three or more tables. So we now have 2020. So here you have a list of all your tables. You click here, you add there. You click there, you add there. So on tables to append, sorry, I've added this twice, so I need to cut it. There is this X remove. Okay, so I now have my three tables. So I now this to be in a single file. So I click OK. Right. So I now have a file which is saying append one. So since I said append is new, okay. So I'll double click. I'll say this cells 2020 to 2022. That's my name, right? So what is it that I have to do with those tables? I would want to hear from you. Should I delete or what? I have created a new one. Fairly, what should I do with these two tables, with these three? I have created a copy of all these three I have combined. So what should I now do with these three? Fairly, what should we do?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Tapu, what should we do?
Just disable them.
Yeah, we have to disable them so that they don't appear in your in your model, but you shouldn't delete because there's still part of your model. This table is actually connected via this, so you don't need to delete. So you right click. Yeah, I will have issues here. And my mouse is not working. Yeah. Yeah, but if you right click, there will be an option where you can say disable. If there is anyone who is following you, you can do that. So I think I've managed to get some how if you can't right click like me, you can click here and click on properties. So I'll say I'll untick here. And also and you untick there. And they should be changed to italic. So that's it. I think I'll come back later to demonstrate the how do we do merging after we have done some. Right. So there are a lot of transformations that you can do. So this is the only transformations that are applying to our data. But for example, you can keep rows. If there are any errors, remove rows, duplicates, errors. You can choose columns. You can do management. You can split columns like what we did. You can replace values. Maybe suppose you have a comma where you are supposed to have a full stop. You can actually replace. You can change data types among many transformations that you can do. You can even call your Python script or R. Yeah. You can even do transposing as well. So let's go back to home. Suppose you are now satisfied that you have done everything possible. So maybe before we go there, let's go to our combined cells and do some checks to see if it's all good. Let's see the column names, they are fine. Our data is not, our date is not date time, so it's fine. Then the price is not formatted well. Let's put what? Something like this. And we are good. And Right. If you come on the top left, you can say close and apply, which means these changes are now being applied. So it will start the process. So it will give you this where it's saying loading. So it will take some time doing the loading. So let's just wait. So it's now depending, like we said yesterday. This now depends on the data source. We explained the different types of importing modes. We have said direct, import, and dual. We are using the import mode here. And the Excel doesn't support direct because it's not an online database. It's not live. But maybe I'll demonstrate how you can do direct connection where you are viewing live data from database like SQL, etc. So the import mode, data loading mode that you are using, it affects the transformations that you can do as well and query forward. This is first time, so it will take a bit of time. So it's now detecting relationships. Can you see it's saying detecting relationships? So Power BI has that capability to detect how are these tables related. So um, our data loading is completing. Right. So you can see that my file is saying untitled, which means I haven't saved it yet. So I should save so that I don't lose my work. I will say save as, browse this device. Uh, so I will say adventure, sales analysis, April 2026. I have this one, so I will be specific by the month there. I have many of these files. I would want to know which ones. So I'm saving, right? My file is now saved. Uh, so I think today we are not going to do much. just want to do the navigation because vakatoita zvakatoti one day. If you have time, what I would encourage is for you to maybe to spare 30 minutes or so, just to try it out even before the next lecture, and you have time after tomorrow, you have time up to Monday to do it, and you have Friday as well, which is a holiday, right? So our data is now imported. Like I have said, here your data will appear here, so you can see this. That's your, those are your tables. That's what that have been imported. Okay, so or you can click one and say collapse all or expand all, and our sales table is this one. So all numerical columns, they will have this summation, and the date columns will have this calendar icon, right? And they are what we call aggregations. So implicit and explicit calculations. So on numerical columns, Power BI does what we call implicit. It just assumes that these columns should be summarized, right? So that's it. So these are our tables that are here, and these are the visuals, and these are the filters. And on the left, if you click here and you want to see the data that's there, you see it via this. But our currency is speaking rands because it's how my computer is configured. Maybe it's configured South African region. So if this is our data, so you can see this when you are clicking on the table view and you click each table here. So I think we may need to change the currency there. Here, let's change this one to United States dollar. It's not a rand. You can also go to products, these ones. So select here. So maybe we'll do as we go. Right, so that's our table view. So we now want to transition into a most important step, which is modeling. And on this one, you have to pay particular attention because a model will determine how your analysis will be like. And before I speak of modeling, we have the DAX query. which is a new feature, and this TMGL, it's quite new. So on the DAX PDA, you can write and evaluate your DAX formulas, but we are not going to be using that. Right. Yeah. So the trick with Power BI, if your columns are well named, it does some of the magic for you. Right. We explained what we call a star schema yesterday. So if you come on the modeling, that's where we do our modeling. Maybe let me collapse all these. You can collapse this and maybe fit to window. Right. We have what we call a model. So a model is a pictorial representation of how these tables are related. Actually, I can even change something. Right. So this picture, I wish we had done SQL before Power BI, but still we are going to do SQL, and you are going to understand much better what we mean by relationships. So we explained dimension and fact tables. So I said our sales data is our facts because it changes frequently, and all those other they are dimension tables. So a fact table, it borrows from different what dimension tables. As you can see here, we have customer ID, location ID, order ID, price, product ID, quantity, sales ID, salesperson ID. Usually there won't be any meaningful names. Usually they are IDs. But to get the details of the product, we need to look up from what? From the products table. And these tables, they share a common key which link these two. So Power BI automatically detects the relationships. But in some instances, it may fail to do that. And you have to configure manually, right? So the relationships are shown by these interconnecting lines, where there is a star and one. A star means many and a one means one. And this arrow, it shows the direction of the relationship, which means this relationship is from the products to the what? To the sales. It's one product, it can have many sales. And remember, these are just the product details. So every product category can have many sales. One salesperson can make many sales, right? Each budget can have many sales. A customer can have many sales, right? And we are going to fix this, a one-to-one relationship. It usually depicts something wrong in terms of your data cleaning, which means there is redundancy here. This should be one table. Because here we have revenue, location name, and location ID. Here we have what? Location ID, location name. These are duplicating. Only what's new here is revenue, which means we can destroy this table and merge it with this one. So usually by default, aim for one-to-many relationships, and many-to-many are also not encouraged. So suppose these relationships are not there, how do you do it? If you double click this relationship, this line, it will show you something like this. Edit relationship from table to table. It's coming from sales to what? To products. But you have to highlight the connecting what? Key. If you come here, products and sales, in products, we have the product ID. Here we have the product ID, which means this is a key that is connecting these two. And maybe let me highlight this, tense black, and delete this relationship. Are you sure you want to delete? You can click yes. You can come. I'll demonstrate many ways to create relationships. Manage relationships. So it's showing you the relationship between tables, but there is this auto detect feature. You can click this. It can actually scan through and see if there are any tables which are related by scanning the content. Found new relationship which have been added to the semantic model. Close. So relationship though one about delete here, which has been detected here. You see that is now what is now back. But I still want to demonstrate something. Maybe these ones, let's put them aside for now. You can see they are not connected in any way. So it means Power BI failed to detect any table that is related to this table. Right. From customers to sales, let's delete this relationship. So you can come on manage relationships. Yeah, there we use the auto detect, but you can do it manually. Say new relationship, it prompts you this. So new relationship, we can say from table customers to what? To sales. That's what we want to create, sales. And it's already picked. So if we didn't, you can actually say from here up to here if this. So it's saying cardinality, one to many, direction which is single. Usually one to many relationship if a single. And there is both which is bi-directional as well. And we can make this relationship active. So we have an active and an inactive relationship. So usually if you, for example, you have a date table, maybe there's a date of birth, maybe there's a date of registration, and you want to connect to the date table. Usually one of those relationships will be inactive because you are connecting 2:1. So we want this to be active and we click save. So the relationship will be added, and it will prompt you this to confirm this is what, and you click OK. So this is what we call a model, or those who maybe did some modeling or programming, it's similar to an entity relationship diagram. Similar to an entity relationship diagram. So for you to have a well-performing model, you should get it right here. Don't rush to create those nice visuals without doing justice on these nitty-gritties. You should do right here, and your model will perform well. Any questions? Say Tanashe, are you following?
To try and grasp.
Powerful. So that's it. Should we continue or we can end here?
Please, let's end here. We need to revive.
Memory full.